afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am incredibly just dosed up to the nine. So we'll see how long I can go for. But oh my word, I have had a week just of hay fever. Now I do not normally get hay fever. Very, very rarely. However, every so often, we're talking like every 5-6 years or so, it comes out and it comes on with some extreme vengeance. Extreme vengeance. It's like I was walking up the road from the station from Sheffield, and you walk under a couple of trees, and honestly, it felt like the air was trying to kill me. And then on Tuesday, oh boy, that's why there was no Geoscope. Trees were literally trying to kill me. I was streaming from my eyes, from my nose. Just everything was just. Honestly, I have never had it so bad. Never have had it so bad this week. Hopefully today it's been all right. But it's been. I have had it, and you've seen me in my videos where I've been doing the videos and I've been coughing. That's when it is good, right? That's me doing a video shortly after I've taken all me my antihistamines and paracetamol and whatever else I might need, So if you've seen me in my videos this week, that's when it's good. When it's bad, oh boy. Oh boy, has it been a bad week. Oh, but anyway, good evening, everyone in chat. Like I say, welcome. Come on in, sit on down, click the like button, click the share button, share it on social media. Come on in, sit down, shall we? Sarah Davis, good evening to you. Dave W, good evening to you. Richard, good evening to you. Craig, good evening to you. Bakura, good evening to you as well. Good evening to everyone else watching as well. Alma, good evening to you. Sorry to hear you're suffering with hay fever. Yeah, honestly, it's been. Yeah, like I say, I am not a typical hay fever sufferer. I do not dread the spring every year. What I dread, and I always dread, is when we get an early summer like this. When we get an early summer like this, when it is absolutely, again, great weather, but if I go out in it, it's like it is literally like they are trying to kill me. Oh. Pollen count is extremely high at the moment. My face has been burning today. Yeah, I know how it's been today. I have a blocked tear duct, so a runny eye will absolutely go nowhere. Is a very interesting look. I feel for you on that one. Probably quite painful as well on that, or if you have one of those as well. Yeah, Craig, share it like you're adding people to the Department of Defense signal chat. Yeah. It's already starting. It's already starting. But I'm still shocked not more of those leaked. We know that there are more because Trump and other people have admitted that there are more. It's the fact that I'm shocked about all that stuff hasn't leaked. I am very, very, very surprised no other signal chats have leaked. I will say that. I am very, very surprised. The ABC News interview with Trump was absolutely hilarious and ever so scary. He's barking. I'm presuming that's the latest one where he's arguing with the guy over the MS-13 Photoshop job. But yeah, I've seen that. That is terrifying. It is. You want to talk about how the Republicans went after like Joe Biden for like cognitive decline? How much stuff has there been? How much stuff has there been since he came to office, since before he was in office, where it's just like you want to talk about your candidate's cognitive, their candidate's cognitive decline? How about you look at your own candidate's cognitive decline? I mean, says it all, really. Says it all. Says it all. Yeah, it's an absolute total word salad. Just makes no sense. Yep, absolutely. He's losing it. He really is. He is losing it. He really is. I think we're going to get another. Oh, not Richard Nixon. Not Ford. Oh, what's the actor's name? I can see him now. Cowboy actor. Republican. Name escape. That Reagan, that's it. Yeah. Oh, wow. That was a complete name blank. That was a complete name blank on that one. Yeah, Ronald Reagan. But yeah, I think we're heading into a Reagan situation again. I really think they are. I really, really do think they are. I think they're absolutely heading into another Reagan situation. It's so obvious. Patrick H, thank you very much as always for giving me a very quick check on that. You're always good. I can always rely on you for one of those. Mr. L, the pollsters absolutely can't bend the knee, or it's their business model completely obliterated. Oh yeah. those polls coming out showing his approval rating as tanked. Yeah. Honeymoon period over. Honeymoon period over. Honeymoon period very, very much over for Trump. But if you've seen my video earlier today, you know, I talked a bit about the Canadian coping, the Canadian Conservative coping going on. Oh, right. I have said this before, and I want to apologize again, because I hyped you guys up so much for what I thought was going to be the absolute throwdown of the century. The previous Conservative leadership election, I thought, was gonna be an absolute mudslinging contest. They were gonna get dirty and they were gonna get so mudslingy. And it looked like initially that's how it was gonna go, until, of course, along came the peacemaker Ben Houchen, who wrote a letter and said, halt your viciousness, your attacks, you know, using the old Reagan mantra, thou shalt not attack a fellow conservative. And they all looked upon Houchen, and lo, did they accept peace. I wish they hadn't, because it was so boring. It was so boring, and I am so sorry that it was so boring to watch. I was hoping it was going to be as nasty as it looks like it is going to be with the Canadian Conservatives. And I'll tell you now, if you are a Canadian political YouTube streamer, especially with like the Conservative civil warring and the content that you are probably going to get out of them over the next couple of weeks, maybe even the month, depending on how long it lasts, you are going to be eating so well. You are going to be eating so well for the next couple of months. And I'm going to go over just two of the things that have come out. And this is just two. Pardon me. Just two. And it is going to be... It is just going to be absolutely wild. It really is going to be absolutely wild for the Canadians. This is where I need to reach out to the Bin podcast and steal Canadian Ollie for a live stream, maybe in a couple of weeks' time. I think they're actually live now. Hold on a second. I'm just going to go type in their chat. There they are. There they are, live. Yo. No, I feel that's a bit mean. I'm just going to go, there we go. There we go. Yeah, it's insane. Honestly. What is going to happen to the Canadian Conservatives is what I wished had happened to like the UK Conservatives. Oh boy. Could this be like the spiciest thing to ever see going on over here? Oh, Colin Thompson, greetings to you as well from New York. Mr. L, sometimes political parties need to have a fight to address important questions. Better to have it early rather than close to elections, though. Again, very, very true indeed. Probably something we're going to have to talk about in a moment as well. Well, I might do a video about it maybe later. There's some senior people in Labour talking about getting rid of Keir Starmer, which, given what happened with the Conservatives, might not go down very well. But we'll see. Like I say, we'll talk to that when we come to it. Craig, with Poilievre gone, things get real nasty now in the Canadian Tories. Yeah, I still can't believe he's staying on. I still cannot believe, especially some of this stuff that's come out of what these two articles we're going to in a moment. I still cannot believe he's insisting he is going to stay on. I cannot believe he thinks he will stay on. Bakura, probably won't interest you, but have you noticed Brianna Wu pop up and thought, that's a name I haven't heard in a while. Turns out progressive know who she is. She's a person and she's gone right wing. Really? That's surprising. That's very surprising, that. But I haven't kept track of her. I haven't never someone who I ever kept like on my radar or anything like that, but that's quite surprising. The Polvier now wooing of the party seems to really, of course, hate Doug Ford, the progressive candidate premier now of Ontario. I wish I'd put a tenner on Carney a couple of months ago to win. Oh, don't we all? Don't we all? My word, the odds you would have gotten, and the money and the oof. It's one of those things where you look back and just gone, I wish I had. Calling the Canadian Conservatives were reduced to 2 seats back in 1993. They always come back. Yep. Although one of the things they are really coping and seething about is the fact that they won seats. Now, they didn't win enough to gain a minority or be able to get them into to power, but they did win seats, and they are like, oh my god, but we lost, but we did so well. Look at that vote percentage. And I'm like, guys, their system is like ours. It's a parliamentary system. It does not matter about vote share. Our system, just like theirs, you are fighting on one day hundreds of individual battles to win that seat. If you don't win the seats, your vote share doesn't matter. Vote share does not matter. It's always about how many seats you win, not about your vote share. Craig, are they going hoping to back Corbyn or something? No, thank God, no. I wish, honestly, if they do end up replacing Keir Starmer, you've got a good couple of options, really. You've got Ed Miliband. And Ed Miliband, God, he's such a doer. He really, really is such a doer. He is working his socks off in this government. He's absolutely going above and beyond. And not enough people talk about it. And I might have to do a video praising him, because honestly, he's doing such good work at the moment. The NDP leader resigned. He can make a better case for being a victim of circumstance. Yeah, very true. What's his name now? Sadit Singh or something like that. Or I think that's how it was. It's been a while since I've talked about him. Quite an interesting, I would say, political figure, but from what the stuff I've been reading recently, a lot of people really weren't impressed with him. And that's kind of surprising, because whenever I saw him, you know, from my British perspective, he seemed to be quite good. You know, he seemed to be quite good. But I don't know. It's not apparently the other side of it, but we'll see. Craig, they're literally now doing the whole 2017 Corbyn coping, but we did better than our last defeat. Yep. Reform UK found about seats versus vote share. Yeah, we'll be getting stuff, like I say. I'm not going to do a night live stream. I might maybe I don't know. I'm going to have to check my calendar after this, but I might try and do a live stream maybe tomorrow morning to have a talk about the results of the local elections. So we'll see what we get from those, but we might not actually get all the results until like end of Friday. So it might be a long day. That's why I'm like, should I do one in the morning? Should I not? I'll see. We'll see what happens when the votes are in, or at least when some of the votes are in, of course. Don't Corbyn supporters keep bleating about, of course, his vote share, all those millions of extra votes in places like London. Yeah, all those places where they were winning already. You know, congratulations, you turned out the vote. You know, you're still, you know, you're already winning in that seat. Congratulations, you're turning out the vote share in a seat with the youth vote, which again, praise to Momentum for what they did of actually turning out the youth vote. They did very well when that. But you turned out the vote in seats you were already going to win. Yeah, it is. It is that exactly. Jagmeet Singh, that's it. Patrick H. Removing Starmer now would be madness. He's just won a huge majority, but some in the party are, of course, still not happy. Yeah, very true. Very, very true indeed. I come down to the fact Starmer's won this big majority, and he is not being brave enough with his majority. He should be a lot braver. He should be willing to take a lot more risk with his majority, and he isn't. I think that is what a lot of people aren't happy about. Colin Thompson, apologies, Bowler. Are you still in Labour? I heard some of us have left. Yep, I'm still in Labour. Like I say, I've explained why I'm in, this party all the time. It's a lot easier to be in the party. I understand why other people have left. I understand why people have reservations. That's fine. But I'm gonna stick it out. Some things you've got to really dig in and fight for. And I'm not gone yet. I'm not gone yet, and I still do have a lot of faith in the party. In fact, believe it or not, Labour have actually. I'm going to do a video about this in the future as well. This Labour government we've got is actually the most productive government we've had in a while. Not since the last Labour government, because so far, they have already completed 10 of their manifesto pledges. But more into that when we go to that video. Yvonne, good evening to you. Of course, not happy that there will be, of course, a big reform win, but they will be found out and, of course, didn't give people, of course, don't give people the cancer vaccine. I've said this before in all my videos when I've talked about this. Reform are going to win some seats. They're not going to win, but they are going to win some seats. It's just a question of how many. And even if they do win seats, good luck to Nigel Farage to try and centrally controlling these councils. Because I think I've talked about this. Reform, or at least what Farage's plan is he is going to control all these councils or all these candidates from Reform HQ. Good luck. Good luck in doing that. If you know anything or have had any experience with local politics, like what the beast it can be with different priorities, different things like that. Good luck. Good luck. Now, I keep on saying it, and other people have kept on saying it as well. If they win, they're going to get more scrutiny. They've got to actually do stuff. Once you're in, you've got to do stuff. And that's not where it's easy. So, yeah, it really is down to just we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens when the smoke clears, when all the sort of the results roll in. But one thing I think I will say again, because last time we held this in 2021, independents won a lot of seats. In fact, it was the biggest, I think, independent win for years. It's been quite a while. Been quite a while since they'd won, like, independent candidates had won like that many seats at a local council level. So I think, again, you might see a lot of independents win. I think you might. I really do. I think it's inevitable. I think it's inevitable that you will see that. A Ref UK candidate knocked on the door yesterday, but sadly I wasn't drinking a milkshake. Very sad indeed. Like I say, I haven't had any of the action because obviously there's no all this thing, all this actions. There's no election going on, Mike. So there's nothing going on. There's nothing going on at all in my area. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people talk about like if the turnout of these local elections is awful, then it's going to spell like bad news. And I'm like, have people been paying attention to like turnout rate for local elections? Have I been the only one paying attention to like the falling turnout rates at local elections? Oh, Martin Arnold, good evening to you. All this is on Labour. People tried warning you, but you didn't listen. Well, congratulations for being the Alex Jones of politics. Yeah, tried warning us of what specifically? Because hindsight's 2024. Show me some predictions pre that you made, that you were warning us about that actually quote came true. Yeah, congratulations, for being the Alex Jones of politics. Always predicting that there'll be a terrorist attack, and when there is one, well, obviously you were right. Oh dear. So yeah, there is, I think, in Canada right now, there is a lot of stuff to be like feasting on, and it's just one of those points where you're just like, oh, if you're a Canadian content creator in politics, I'm so jealous. I am so jealous because this is what I wanted. Like, this is so what I wanted. Like our Canadians, our conservatives to like descend into, and it didn't. And it's just like, oh, what we could have had. What we could have had. Oh, curse you, Ben Houchen. Why? Why did you have to write a letter? Why did you have to write that letter? Anyway, let's go on into this because honestly, this is interesting. So this is some of the stuff already happening. So this is from CT News. This is Doug Ford's campaign manager accuses Poilievre camp of campaign malpractice. So it looks like already they're splitting now into factions. And bear in mind, I don't know a lot about sort of, Canadian politics, not as much as I sort of follow like the UK politics. But already I can see just from this title alone, they are splitting into different factions, and they are already gonna fight. They are digging their trenches and they are ready. And oh boy, is that going to be fun. That is it is it's going to be fun. I am so jealous of like Canadian politics content creators because they're going to be eating well. They're going to be eating well. But let's find out. Let's find out what happens here. So, and what's this? A note on that. The Ontario provincial party that Ford leads is still called the Progressive Conservative Party, the old name for the CPC. Ah, okay. Mr. L dropping the deep law on us. Dropping the deep law on us for these Canadian Conservatives. So let's see what they have to say here. Leading Conservative campaign strategist Tory Tenkey is now taking aim at his own party, accusing the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, and his team of squandering a big lead. And bear in mind, what a lead they did squander. They had a 25-point lead going into this. In January, a 25-point lead. And the Liberals were doomering. Like they were like, oh my god, we're gonna lose. And they were in damage control mode. They were like, right, we're gonna lose. We need to limit our losses. We need to limit our losses. But hey, Carney turned it around. He's a very smart cookie. You know, he's been through the 2008 financial crisis, governor of the Bank of England during Brexit, you know, in charge of, I think, the Canadian Bank, I believe, as well, during, I think it was during COVID. Maybe. I can't remember now his full sort of, CV resume. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how far this goes. But this could be fun. So this is what he said. I know it's very uncomfortable for people to hear that it is now said out loud, but it is in every poll and every poll aggregator. The numbers are the numbers. They are saying if you don't believe in the polls, then you're managing a campaign. If you're managing a campaign, it is delusional. Wow. That is quite serious fighting talk, that. At a rally for Poilievre on Wednesday, some Conservative supporters were spotted wearing shirts and waving signs that read, do you believe the polls? Oh. The Conservative campaign said that the signs and the shirts are not party or campaign products. He also went on to say on a podcast that the waves are being made amongst political watchers, and he said, blowing a 25-point lead and being like 10 points down in this campaign is campaign malpractice at its highest level. Oof. I mean, 10 points down, that is... like that's terrible. That I didn't even know they were like ending like 10 points behind, because that is something like 30 odd points to go to lose from. I mean, that is what they lost on. That is bad. That is bad. That is insanely bad on that. I didn't realize they were even that far behind. That's terrible. And he's still insisting he's going to stay on. This is where I should be running now to a betting website to bet how long Poilievre is going to last. Because he ain't lasting long. He is not lasting long. He's delusional. Delusional if he thinks he can stay. Ben Ridings, good evening to you. Good evening to everyone else watching as well. And Craig and Arnold, I can see you in the chat. Play nice. But yeah, this is I'm so jealous. I am so jealous. I'm so jealous. Why could this not have been our Conservatives? Anyway, Tenke has served as the Ontario Premier Doug Ford's campaign manager and successfully led the Ontario Progressive Conservatives to 3 successive majority governments. He has also served as Director of Communications to the Prime Minister, Stephen Harper. Despite, of course, nearly 2 years of a campaign double-digit lead, this just gets even worse when you think about this defeat. They had a double-digit lead. Double-digit lead for 2 years. And you lost that badly. I mean, that's bad. That is so bad. So, the Liberals, of course, surged in the polls after their former leader and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced he would resign, and then US President Donald Trump returned to the White House. Now, of course, halfway through the election campaign, Nationalist research polling data shows the Liberals had a handful of points ahead just of the Conservatives. So when I talk about campaign malpractice, blowing a lead that big, and your response is down to being saying, I don't believe in the polls, I don't know, and I think it's kind of weak sauce. Just wow. I mean, that is a denial of reality. That is a denial of reality. Then, according to Tenke, a back and forth between Poilievre and the Globe Mail reporter Laura Stone this week also isn't helping. Stone asked Poilievre whether he feels he should broaden now his message beyond certain talking points now to increase his support amongst Liberals and undecided voters. He said, I think it's pretty broad. Really? The advert, everyone is laughing at is that advert of 2 guys playing golf. And if that's the best, they could offer, wow. Whoever directed and wrote that, I hope they got their money out of it. I hope they took a lot of money from the Canadian Conservatives. I know I would have. Because that advert was awful. That advert was awful. Anyway, where are we? So it's pretty broad. When after he should focus, which actually now he should whether his focus on the quote woke mob, cultural incentives, or getting rid of the CBC headquarters and creating an echo chamber. How many people do you think we had last night? He said, referencing his alley in Edmonton. When Stone replied, 1,000, Poilievre said, it could be more precise than even that. At the time when the Conservatives are already losing points with their own, Turkey said, having the party leader seen as attacking a female reporter is absolutely gross in a way that is turning even more voters off. Trenke has also been very critical of Poilievre for falling out and now even failing to pivot his campaign focus to Trump. I still can't believe they didn't pivot either. I mean, the best example in the world of political pivoting, 2017 general election. Can anyone in chat tell me what the 2017 general election was about? Bonus points if you get it. Bonus points if you get it. Yeah. Something strong and stable. Almost close. Yes, Craig. Yes. Winter fuel allowance. Exactly. Winter fuel tax. Yes. Bakura. Exactly. Sarah Davis. Almost, because that's what everyone thought it would be, but it was wrong. It was wrong. Everyone thought that 2017 election would be about Brexit. Wasn't even about Brexit. Wasn't even the main topic of conversation, because it was about winter fuel allowance. It was about triple lock pensions. It was dubbed, and has been dubbed since, as the pensioner election. That's what it was all about. And that's because they pivoted, because that's what all the voters, or at least the main core of voters they wanted to appeal to, wanted to talk about. That's all they wanted to talk about. But I am shocked. I am shocked that they did not pivot. What's this, Mr. L? They had all those maple leaf MAGA hats during the campaign. They should have thrown them all on the bonfire. Oh my God, really? Really? Oh. I mean, talk about not pivoting, right? Talk about not pivoting. But Poilievre had been for a while engaged in like this Trump light stuff, which in a way is mostly what Kimmy Badenoch is sort of doing. Like, she's here, and Robert Jenrick's like here. Is slightly a bit more like, offering that stuff, exactly the same stuff Poilievre was. Gee, I wonder if that's going to go down well at the next UK election. Don't think so. Oh. So. Where are we? Yep, so failing to pivot for the campaign to focus on Trump, saying it was, of course, very clear. Way back, even in December, the US president was becoming now a primary concern for the Canadians, while leading into that tone then in itself is, of course, very reminiscent of Trump. One of the things that is, of course, very clearly holding voters back with Poilievre is all the Trumpy stuff, he said. It's looking and sounding a lot like Trump arguing with a reporter about the size of the crowd at a rally, a campaign slogan that is basically Canada first when Trump's was America first. So I think there is a disconnect there. Pressed on why, of course, he would call out his party in the middle of the campaign, Turkey said that while he's a conservative and, of course, will be voting for the party, it is his job now to give commentary analysis on the election campaign. During the press conference on Friday, Poilievre was asked about his categorization of the Conservatives now dropping the polls being now a result of campaign malpractice and whether he shares that assessment. He said, Liberals and lobbyists want me to stop talking about high food prices. He said, I want them to stop me talking about the doubling housing costs during now the lost Liberal decade. I'm not going to stop talking about that. They want me to stop talking about the rampaging crime that is overtaking our streets, the overdose crisis Liberals caused that's now taking the lives of over 50,000 people. I will not stop talking about that either. He also said, before pointing now to his campaign affordability promises and criticizing Liberals. And I guarantee you, his policies wouldn't have done anything. I guarantee you. But oh boy. Oh boy. It doesn't stop there. It literally does not stop there. Because we've also had this. Pardon me. Alberta's premier says that efforts now backfired on the Federal Conservative Party. So, in the wake of now the federal election that saw the Liberals from a minority government, Alberta NDP leader Naheed Nasheed says it's very clear that Premier Danielle Smith's effort to defuse a cross-border trade war backfired on the federal Conservative Party. It comes after days after Smith dismissed a reporter's question about whether she undermined the Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's campaign, saying now the vote solidified because of the federal campaigning in just the last 2 weeks, saying, I don't think it was the media in the last 2 weeks. I had no interest in being on the ballot at the federal level. Now, New Alberta New Democrats have long said that Smith's US speaking appearances will be considered now an in-kind donation to Liberal Prime Minister Mark Carney's election campaign. On Wednesday, Nish told reporters that when Smith said she didn't make election headlines in the last 2 weeks of the campaign, she was telling on herself. She actually said, I got benched by Poilievre. Nash pointed to an early April rally at Edmonton where Poilievre drew a very large crowd from former Conservative Prime Minister Stephen Harper, but Smith did not appear. He also pointed out Smith's recent week-long trip to South Korea and Japan to trade ties, suggesting it was about butting out of the election campaign. He said that federal Conservatives ultimately squandered the 25-point lead and Poilievre even lost his own seat. That's something as well, Portillo moment right there. Despite now trying to pivot and distance himself from the US President Donald Trump, the damage was already done, and that damage, a lot of it, can now be laid at the feet of Danielle Smith, he said. At the outset of the federal campaign, Smith made headlines for previous comments to the American media that Poilievre now was more in sync with Trump and asked whether US officials to hold off on tariffs in order now to benefit her preferred party in the campaign, the Conservatives. That's insane. Why? Why on earth? Why on earth do you do that? I mean, why on earth would you end up doing that? It's just insane. Anyway. The anger, of course, against Trump became somewhat of a rallying point. It became quite a rallying point across the country. Smith's concerns were then weaponized by Carney's Liberals, who then released an attack ad quoting Smith's words. Smith then doubled down in Alberta, saying that she was being unjustly criticized for trying to stave off a tariff war with diplomacy and media appearances with right-wing influencers now south of the border. We will not be pushed around and called traitors for merely having the courage to actually do something about our nation and province's predicament. During the election, Ontario Premier Doug Ford and his campaign manager weren't shy about publicly criticizing Poilievre's campaign strategy, with a letter saying the party had failed to adequately address the US trade war. Smith said on Tuesday he tried to keep him out of the fray, saying that the media had kept quiet and trying to draw me in. While we didn't win government, the Conservatives did gain 24 seats. Again, that's what they are hoping about. Oh my God, we won 24 seats. Isn't that wonderful? But you still lost. The Liberals, and of course in Alberta, were kept at bay with just 2 seats in Alberta, the same number as now as before the election. Nish said the Conservatives didn't pick up many of the seats they were hoping for, indeed to flip, including Atlantic Canada, Toronto, Manitoba, and of course accused Smith of being unable to take responsibility. Now Smith's blaming the media for forcing her to talk. One of Smith's former even cabinet ministers, Peter Gunther, said he'd be very critical of the United Conservative government on the same front. Letter now published late last week, he accused Smith of using the federal elections as an opportunity to now raise her own national profile, possibly at the expense of the Canadian Party and its leader. Like I say, this to me comes across as they're now looking for a scapegoat. Who was at fault? Because it was either Poilievre, which it absolutely was, or it was someone else. It was someone else. They're all looking. Who is to blame for this disaster? How could this disaster happen to us? What a shock! Like, what a shock that this dreadful, terrible thing could happen to us. How could it happen to us? Why? How? Anyway, Colin Atkinson, the director of Enterprise Canada and former UCP press secretary, pushed back, saying the comments made by Alberta's premier might not have been appreciated in Ontario, Quebec, the Atlantic Canada, but they didn't hinder the Conservative growth. If she did influence the election, I don't think the Conservatives would have quite the gains they had had. The collapse of the other left-leaning parties and the decline of Bloc Québécois is what led the Liberal victory, he said. Atkinson added that they might have time now to take for the Conservative campaign if it gets its footing. Many, of course, potential Conservative voters would have seen Smith standing up for the province. At the very same time, Atkinson said that political watchers often overestimate just how much influence Alberta politicians have on the electorate outside of the province. I don't think the voters went out thinking Peter Poilievre is equal to Donald Trump. Seems what most Canadians would seem to be thinking at that. Meanwhile, at the Mount Royal University, Daniel Brandt, a political scientist, believed that Smith said the idea that Poilievre and Trump were in agreement definitely played a role in the election campaign. She had a national impact, said Brandt. You look at the early stages that faced the Conservatives, where they gained ground the last 2 weeks. It wasn't a time when Smith was gone, he said. Brandt said that some of Smith's initiatives in the US were somewhat warranted, but when the Premier now appeared to tone down the rhetoric in Washington while attacking the Liberals in Ottawa, it became problematic. Yeah, that to me seems, there's our scapegoat. There's our scapegoat. That's who we can blame. That's who we can blame. We'll blame them. They're going to learn the wrong lessons. They are absolutely going to learn the wrong lessons in this. So it is ultimately going to be civil war with the Canadian Conservatives, and it is going to get brutal. And I am so jealous. Like, I am oh so jealous, because I said this, and I said this at the beginning. I apologize for hyping up, honestly, so much the like, the Conservative elections, the leadership elections, because I thought they were going to be an absolute mudslinging bonanza, but it didn't turn out that way, unfortunately, thanks to Ben Houchen. But yeah, They want someone to blame. And that seems to be how it seems to be coming across. And that is from an outsider's perspective. Craig, the Canadian cons need a lot needs someone to blame. That's because each faction wants to say, we are the right way. Those guys deserve all the blame. Because it'll clear for their way for them to take charge. Exactly. They're now all positioning themselves. They are all now positioning themselves in some way, shape, or form so that they can challenge Poilievre. There will be a leadership contest in the Canadian Conservatives. They will put a vote of no confidence in him in probably the next couple of weeks. Maybe give it a couple of months. We'll see. Depends how quickly they want to have this. Or it depends how heated it all gets very quickly. Ultimately. But yeah, things could get very interesting very quickly. Things could get very interesting very quickly on that point. Very interesting very quickly. I am so jealous. I am so jealous. So jealous on that. Oh, hope the Maple MAGA is now consigned to the cesspit of history. Oh, absolutely, it's going to be. It's going to be. I mean, I do not understand if you are a Canadian Conservative and you somehow think you can run with, Maple MAGA. Carney's just shown in this election, you don't stand a chance. You do not stand a chance. Of course, now it all comes down to how he is. How is he going to lead? What areas policy is going to be? So that'll be something interesting to keep an eye on for the future. What happens in Canada, how they go ahead, and what Carney does. How does he hold his coalition together as well? Because he's got to go into coalition with someone. I suspect it'll be with the remnants, maybe of the NPD. Maybe he gets the Quebec bloc in with them as well. Maybe. Can he hold that coalition together? Who knows? So we'll see what happens in the future. We'll see what happens, but it's interesting times. Interesting time for the Canadians. And Yvonne, you're leaving us. Well, goodbye. But yes, like I say, I can feel my medication now starting to wear off. So I need to go and put my head over a bowl of steam for a while. Try and fight this back, because I can feel it all coming. Craig, the NDP and the Greens are now the most likely source of votes for Carney. Greens get on pretty well, but aren't, of course, quite enough. And the NPD has now close links to Liberals. So, yes, thank you all very much for joining me for this. Like I say, hopefully the polling situation improves over the next couple of weeks, and hopefully I can go back to normal. I can go outside again and breathe normal. And I don't sound like Darth Vader. And I'm not having to buy up half a pharmacy of of antihistamines. I mean, I'm surprised my eyes aren't like puffy, because they were yesterday. And on Thursday, wow, my eyes were absolutely, they were just out there. Oh, But anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. As always, hit the like, hit the share button on your way out. As always, watch out for more videos coming out. We will obviously be talking over the next couple of days about local elections, what happened, the aftermath of local elections, what moves, if any, Robert Jerrick might make against Kimi Badnoch, because I'm sure those will be coming possibly quite soon, depending on how they do. But yes, all kinds of interesting things could happen off the back of this. So, with that said, thank you very much, like I say, for watching. Thank you very much for joining me today. It's been absolutely wonderful as always. So, as always, hit the like and share button on your way out. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.